When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Alright, hello YouTube, welcome back to the Grease Commons YouTube channel, and today's video is going to be kind of a serious topic, and it's going to be looking at maybe the negative side of House of the Dragon isn't good, because there are a lot of very serious ramifications, in my opinion, if this show flops. And I'm not even talking about from an idea of production-wise, if it's actually a good show. I'm talking about, like, if this show doesn't make the money back, or doesn't bring the fan base back, how it could negatively impact George R. R. Martin, whether that be writing with Winds of Winter or even more, where we know HBO has been trying to like craft like the GCU, we'll say like the game cinematic universe, right? Where they were trying to do so many shows and a lot of them have kind of fallen through, it seems like. But this is the one that ended up making it through, which I'm glad. This to me is the perfect one to redo it because it's the closest to a Game of Thrones outside of like Robert's Rebellion. And I don't think George R. R. Martin wants HBO to do Robert's Rebellion yet because he doesn't want to give them all the information to do that yet. Because there's still some things that in the books we don't know yet. Like, we don't know who Jon's parents actually are, and that's something that we would definitely find out in a Robert's Rebellion show. So I think that a lot of people always ask why we're not doing a Robert's Rebellion, and that's why, I think. Because there's just so many things right now that we don't know about Robert's Rebellion that George is purposely not telling us yet. So that's kind of why, and I don't think he wants to spoil his books with a TV show. So, yeah. Now, before we get into the video, if you guys like to subscribe, like, and comment, please do. If you guys want to see more House of the Dragon content from me, we're going to be doing weekly reviews of the episode right after they come out. And then also we're going to be looking at Rings of Power, if you guys are interested in that, and then doing probably prediction videos for the upcoming episodes. So, getting into my actual point of the video, because I want to talk about how serious this is. Because we already have seen that Winds of Winter is taking a long time to write, right? And I think a lot of people have attributed that to doesn't have the motivation. I think he doesn't. Whereas the first 3 books, he knew exactly where the story was going. I don't think he knows exactly where he wants the story to go. I think he has a general idea and he's working towards it. I think if House of the Dragon does poorly, or it's not made well, or it just doesn't do well on HBO, I think it's going to hurt his motivation to even finish it. Because in his head, subconsciously, he'll start going, okay, well, is there even interest in Winds of Winter enough to the point where I'm going to, try my hardest to get this out as soon as possible? Whereas someone like me, I was saying, hopefully, I would say a good time frame would be like Christmas, Thanksgiving time next year. I think a more realistic time frame would be that same time, but in 2024. I think that's more realistic. But if this was to flop, I think that could heavily impact Winds of Winter. And then another thing it's going to impact is I think this, especially if it does bad, like especially if this does terrible, people don't like it, or it doesn't do well, or all these other things like I've just said, I don't think there will be another Game of Thrones show. I think the Jon Snow one could be the last Hail Mary. And if you're someone like me, who I've made videos on this before, I'm going to watch it because that's what my channel is based on. I love the universe. I am like, let's say my interest level in House of the Dragon, right, is I'm 100% invested. I'm like really excited. The Jon Snow, I'm like maybe 40% excited. Like, I just don't understand why you would make a Jon Snow series. The whole thing with Game of Thrones, and the thing you don't want to do, is remind people of what happened with Season 8 and Season 7, because Game of Thrones was such a culturally big show. Like, it was all over the world. Like, it was, in my opinion, it was the biggest show of all time, right? Where that's not saying the best, it's not saying, like, whatever. I think it was, like, the most influential and biggest show on the planet, right? And you don't want to blame people that were invested for years with that show of something they hated. And the Jon Snow show, it's like, Jon Snow really wasn't even a character when he came back to life, like, in Season 6. He really wasn't a character. He was such a one-note, bad, in my opinion, he was a bad character, right? So, when you look at all these ideas, it's like, why do we want to do this? And then the other problem is like, what are we doing? Are we bringing back the White Walkers somehow? Like, are we saying Bran's just going full Blood Raven now? Like, what? It's just such a weird idea to me that I feel like for the most part, House of the Dragon is the chance to bring people back or new people into the universe. And if it flops, I don't think I don't see them greenlighting any of these other lore shows, right? I don't think them because this is the best one. I think the top 3 ideas you could do of Game of Thrones shows would be this one's number 1. I think this was the best idea to do first. Number 2, after they do this, so let's say there's 3 seasons of House of the Dragon. So let's say 5 years down the road, right? Another show's looking to come out. Aegon's Conquest. Perfect. It's something a lot of people are familiar with that would have watched the show, especially book readers. It's a very interesting time period, and you could even delve into the after effects of Aegon's Conquest into like Aenys and Maegor, because that's still another really interesting time period. So you have all these ideas, and then you move on to the third one. Now, the reason I'm saying you don't do Robert's Rebellion second is because it gives more time for Winds of Winter to be out and to hopefully a lot more of the things that we don't know about Robert's Rebellion to be revealed, because George R. R. Martin, like I said in this video, he does not, I don't think, want to release a Robert's Rebellion show. But Robert's Rebellion would be really good for the idea that it's very close and similar to Game of Thrones. A lot of the things that happen in Robert's Rebellion set up Game of Thrones really well. And we kind of have the complete story of, in my opinion, the Game of Thrones saga, where Robert's Rebellion is just directly related there. So that, to me, would be, if this was going to work, that would be the formula of how to do it. The Jon Snow series, just to me, just seems like a waste of resources and a waste of money. But that is kind of my ideas and why I think this show has such a large impact on the Game of Thrones name and kind of the A Song of Ice and Fire media content, books, and show. So that, to me, is going to be really interesting to see how this does. I'm actually very confident that this show's going to do well. I think they've advertised it really, really well. I think the concept is very intriguing for even new viewers. I'm someone that loves this topic, so I'm going to watch it no matter what. But I think they've done a great job of telling an audience what the story is going to be like without giving us all of it. I've definitely switched my opinion on that when I first watched the trailers, but I think it's tough because I think the last trailer they put out, they very much focused on Alicent and Rhaenyra's back and forth, and it really, like, it's hard because I know exactly what's going to happen, but I think as an average viewer, I would assume a lot of people would be picking up on that, but I don't know. But thank you guys all for watching the video. I hope you guys have been enjoying the videos lately, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.